Mr. Deity.
Tim, we up here just about to do our little study session. Today we coming from the chapter called The Third Overstanding from the Gospel of Hip Hop. We're exploring hip hop and the connection to basically ourselves and the world, and we're using it as a way to get a deeper understanding of rites of passage, self-development. So, all right, any announcements before we jump off? We want to welcome Brother Willie. You made it to the adult session. You finally made it to the adult session. Asaru had to put the hit out. I invited him a while ago, so Asaru had to pull him out. Tell him your name, sweetheart.
Tom Breaker.
Okay.
Four.
Okay.
Asaru.
Mansoor.
All right. We here. We're gonna first we're gonna read, then we're gonna have discussion. So those of you that joining us, thank you for joining us. This is Gianni Journey Radio. Heart of Assemble Productions. Where our goal is to blow up your old paradigm. Somebody want to start off?
Peace and much love. Let us continue. After you have made the decision to be hip-hop, and after you have declared to 3 of your closest associates, I am hip-hop, it is time to enter your temple. For it is not enough to read about the spiritual what spiritual righteousness is. The true hip-hopper must act out or perform spiritual righteousness in order to experience the peace and power of the spiritual realm. And this requires strength. For without spiritual strength, endurance, no spiritual virtues or principles can be achieved. At the top of this discipline, it should be clearly pointed out that the divine performance reveals only the first steps in hip-hop spiritual living. This study gets the true hip-hopper ready for the deeper mysteries of God, which must be lived in order to be understood. Such an overstanding is designed to build up the spiritual character and awareness of the hip-hopper in preparation for the deeper spiritual knowledge to come. The divine performance centers the hip-hopper's life around a simple set of timeless spiritual life skills that open the gates of the spiritual realm and preserves the actual life of the hip-hopper, thus preserving hip-hop for real. For it is never one's talent that ensures one's longevity. Even with great talent and or inheritance, it is one's personal character that truly ensures one's professional success and longevity. We have seen too many talented people, artistic and otherwise, fail to acquire or maintain successful careers even with great skills because shortcomings of their own personal characters. The truth, the hurts, the betrayals, the loneliness, the failures, all of this can hinder the development of both the ignorant and the enlightened. But if you put God in your life and lend your heart to the reality of God only, all else shall fall into place. The ignorance, immaturity, and insecurity of others shall be revealed to them in time, while you shall be protected by your divine performance. In addition, we've also seen their plans and goals because of their own outdated perceptions and stubborn attitude towards life. Know this, life is about growth, and if you are not growing, you are not living. Yes, there will be times of hurt and loneliness. Yes, you will wonder why people do what they do, but in the end, if you remain strengthened and transformed by your performance of divinity, peace and justice shall become your permanent condition. Therefore, in accordance with our strategies to actually preserve hip-hop, those who take the vow, I am hip-hop, and have decided to live and grow in spirit are given these instructions for atonement.
All right. So the first thing he said is, going back to 3 of your closest associates, you need to declare that you hip-hop. That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. Why? I mean, why? What's important about declaring that you're hip hop? I mean, because you this your first time being introduced to this material, right?
Not this. What is this book?
This is the Gospel of Hip Hop.
Oh yeah, this is my first time.
This your first time too? Mm-hmm. The I am statement. Anybody familiar with the power of the I am statement?
Yeah.
You're declaring.
As I, or something like that. Like as above, so below.
Okay. All right. So when you state that you are something and you understand what it is, it gives you authority over it. It's like I remember years ago I was in class at Ohio State and we was talking about certain spiritual traditions, and it's in some African traditions they said that if you're walking and you hear somebody call your name, don't turn around. You hear a familiar voice calling your name, you don't turn around. Because when somebody knows your name or can call your name, you respond to it and they got evil intent for you, they could control you. That's why in some traditions, like for example, Kemet, how you spell Kemet. We had this kind of had discussion before. How you spell Kemet?
KMT.
KMT. Why?
Because of they didn't have vowels back then?
They had vowels. Mm-hmm. They had vowels. But the issue was, and when you're looking at numerology and you're looking at language, the vowels represent the soul of the word. The consonants are the body of the word, but the vowels are the soul of the word. So if you know the soul of the name, you control it. Mm-hmm. There's another story where Aset wanted power, so she needed to get Ra's name. And she had to trick Ra out of his name. Now think about this. We talking about these ancient deities. And Ra basically created all these deities, but none of them really knew his name. None of them know his name. Why? Because when you know the name of something, you can control it. So when you say I am, what you're doing, you're invoking that power in your life. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's a very important thing. So some of us close, to my closest associate, one of my daughters is here. Cute, so. I am hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be able to declare that. Mm-hmm. You have to find your 3 associates. Mm-hmm. You have to declare what you are. You know what I'm saying? So that you can start opening yourself up to that energy in your life. Anything else anybody else want to hit on? Yeah. All right, so we're going to move on. Hey. From where you stand, sit or lie, cleanse your mind with the following affirmation given to me by my mother, Jacqueline, years ago. Say the following affirmation 3 times every night before you sleep and once in the morning when you awaken for 21 days. Feel this, accept this. I am not afraid. Today I give myself permission to be all that I can be. New fields of divine activity now open for me. Unexpected doors fly open. Unexpected channels are now free. My mind is focused and directed toward my victory. I now create what I need with divine energy. Good things come to me easily in peace and at the right time. There it is. So whether you do this affirmation or not, experiment with affirmation for a couple of days. You say 21, but about 21 days, 21 to 30 days. A whole moon, 28, a whole moon cycle. That'll be cool. B. At this very moment, you must decide to change your diet toward the consumption of healthier foods and thoughts. If you are above the age of 18, you should gradually withdraw from the consumption of all processed and junk foods, meats, and meat products. Even before you finish these overstandings, you should gradually begin to accustom your mind and body towards a healthier diet. You should begin to gradually lessen your intake of dairy, flour, salt, sugar, and all other addictions like hate, worry, and fear. Resist overeating and less your intake of drugs that can cause irregular eating or overeating. Respect yourself by committing to yourself. Remember, the future you is depending upon you now to make the right decision for its survival. This is the attitude one must adopt in order to protect, preserve, and develop one's productivity. Therefore, realize the truth of God's actual presence and cleanse your body inside and out, for it is now God's temple. Prepare now for the arrival of your God. At this very moment, and before you prepare to sleep, confess to God the things you thought, said, and done that you felt were not right. Forgive your enemies first by acknowledging that they were young and ignorant, and then ask God to forgive you for your immaturity and ignorance. Ask God to guide you toward increased knowledge. Trust no man or woman with your confessions. Confess your mistakes only to God. Ask God to forgive you of your anger and discourteous response, even while driving, working, and walking. Humble yourself and truly contemplate the pain you have caused others. Ask God to forgive you and bless those whom you have performed ignorantly and destructively toward. You can also directly seek forgiveness of those you have hurt by performing the superhuman act of apologizing. Cleanse the guilt from your own heart. Apologize, repent, and let it go. Seek to resolve the conflicts and misunderstandings in your own life. Perform forgiveness. Anybody want to read on or any comments before we move on?
Right now, at this very moment, think about a space close to where you sleep where you can set up an area to pray and study. It could be a space on the floor, a table, a shelf, or a window. It could be as small as a shoebox in a corner or as large as an entire bedroom. In any event, at your beginning, the space you set aside to pray and study should be near to where you sleep if possible. After you designated a space, choose a surface, a table, a shelf, a box, a crate, etc., to place in your sacred space. Such a surface, commonly called an altar, is a physical place you go to alter your awareness from natural to divine. It is the place where you talk in the presence of God. It is in the place that you affirm your past, present, and future victories. Here you can cover your designated surface with a new and clean cloth. Then place upon your covered surface a candle or candles, your favorite oils, sprays, waters, incense, pictures of those who you truly love or admire, and the gospel of hip-hop open to either the freestyles or your favorite overstanding. After you have done this, thank God for your sacred space, and then repeat your affirmation 3 times and go to sleep in faith and peace. Cleanse your environment with the establishment of your sacred space, and let not your space be violated. Believe in your spiritual reality, and it shall become real in your life. Let us continue. At the average rap music concert, there is usually an opening act or acts followed by a headliner. Attuned hip-hoppers and experienced rap fans alike have learned that great opening acts that have been successful have always shouted praise to the headliner and have always sought to align their performance to that of the headliners. The opening act performs with the overstanding that the headliner is sure to follow with an even more elaborate performance. It is the headliner who closes the show. Similarly attuned hip-hoppers know that God is the true headliner in every arena of life. Even if the hip-hopper is a headliner in the world, the attuned hip-hopper remains an opening act to God. As an opening act, the attuned hip-hopper performs life in the spirit, knowing that God will close the show. Whatever the attuned hip-hopper does is done with the overstanding that God will complete whatever he has started. When this truth is realized, one's actions will reflect such a realization. How often do you forget that the hip-hop lived life is a performance, and that imitating the performance of God sets one apart from the world and its troubles? Attuned hip-hoppers live life as a great performance. When we are at work, we are performing. When we are with the family, we are performing. Every day and at every moment of the day, we are performing. Even while asleep, there are a variety of performances taking place within one's mind, body, and environment. It is our performances in life that manifest or from the circumstances of our lives. Each performance is literally a pre-formed dance or a performance, an action that creates and forms life circumstances. Therefore, attuned hip-hoppers align their performances to God's performance, remaining protected, prosperous, and at peace and harmony with the will of God in their lives continuously. For when God's personality is a habit in your life, victory over the streets is inevitable and constant. And when God is enough for you, peace shall always be with you. This performance ensures one's longevity as an MC, DJ, graffiti writer, etc. Rap fans are trapped in the lure of lyrical freestyle, while tuned hip-hoppers enjoy a life that is free. Rap fans focus only upon sales and the performance of marketplace, while in tune hip-hoppers focus upon the performance of their God and receive all things freely. To perform correctly is to live and act totally aware of your life and actions. The arena is your environment. The stage represents your level of mentality, and the audience is the world. The show is an act of one or more divine performances. Therefore, give a good show. As we perform throughout life, we should be drawing the applause of God. Hip-hoppers are advised to perform the following.
Perform God. Act consciously with the intelligence force that guides your life. Make the decision to finally acknowledge and expect God's actual presence. Turn your conscious attention away from the reality of the material world as valuable, and turn your conscious attention away from the reality of the material world as valuable, and turn your conscious attention toward the value of God above all else and as your life. Put God first in your life. Throughout the day, make an effort to raise your heart and mind to the acts of God. Act like your God would act. Speak like your God would speak. Love like your God would love. God is not a name, it is a nature. Acknowledge the nature that has governed and guided your life. Be God's will on earth. Be the love. Align your spirit through visualization to the totality of your God. Act out of your highest comprehended good. Act and speak on behalf of your God, the love. Develop the ability to care unconditionally for yourself and others. Be the actual personality of your God in the lives of others. Answer the prayers of those in need. Do God's work in the world. Act out the personality of your God and live in the character of your wiser self. Express the love of your God and see your God's finished work in everything and everyone. The most important training you could do for yourself in life is to practice living in the presence and personality of your God, the love that is a true friend to all in its presence. Such a practice leads to peace and strength. Practice thinking through the mind of your God. Perceive in God. Openly perform the personality of your God everywhere and anywhere you are, and do not be ashamed or become discouraged by your own uniqueness. God is your nature. Perform your God in God. Direct yourself, teach yourself, govern yourself, heal yourself, guide yourself, and most of all, love yourself. God, the totality and unified consciousness of all existence, the all, is one event. Ultimately, there is no other God but God. Without name, without form, everywhere and nowhere, God is God. As an attuned hip-hopper, God is the nature that sustains you. Happy and secure is the one who acknowledges no other power as their God except God. Value only God. See only God. Trust only God. Live and act in the image of your God. It is indeed a fact that you can never be hurt by the immaturity of others when you act selflessly on behalf of God. Hurt comes when you place your immediate interest over the presence of God. Remember, the key is to keep God first in your life. However, it is of extreme importance that you not force your interpretation of God upon others. God is real, but God is not real for everyone. As difficult as this may sound, try to understand that knowledge of God is a privilege. Do not force your privilege upon others or expect others to see what you see. For us, God is a bloodline. Everyone does not possess the nature of God. They may respect and revere the godly life, but they themselves are not yet prepared to commit to such a life themselves. Only those who are born for God shall commit to such a life. Just as some are born with the ability to cook, and others are born with the ability to build houses, and even others are born healers, some of us are born God. Just as some of us are born with certain psychic abilities, others of us are born with the nature of God. Our existence balances human affairs. This is not to place anyone above anyone, nor is this an effort to claim some sort of authority, but in all truth, some people were born to love God. Are you one of those people? We are not above anyone. In fact, we serve and teach the world on God's behalf. Our aim is to relieve human suffering. This is why we argue with no one over the existence of God. If you do not know God, it is because God is not part of your nature. It doesn't mean that you are a bad or immoral person. It simply means that you were not born for that understanding and or purpose. And likewise, if you do not know God or simply doubt the existence of God, do not make the mistake of applying such doubt toward others who do claim to know God. Let us accept each other as we all are, and let us hold each other accountable to the natures that we claim to possess. Those who truly know God express God. In fact, we have no choice in such expression. God is our nature. God is in our blood, and there is no condemnation of atheist communities who are free to act according to their own godless nature. For it doesn't matter what you believe or don't believe. The real point is, how do your views and values make you a better person, more tolerant and understanding of people? How do your views, values, and beliefs benefit those around you? How are you making things better? However, if God is your nature and you truly feel the presence of God and you are naturally drawn toward the things of the Spirit, it is of extreme importance that you outwardly perform the nature of your God whenever and wherever you are invited to do so. Performing God is also about bringing spiritual reality into physical reality when needed. It makes no sense to claim a relationship with God and then have no real power on earth and no real power in the world. At some point, we must mature from being consumers of God to becoming producers of God. Temple members produce the effects of God as needed toward the relief of human suffering. We perform the nature of God openly for the benefit of all. Nothing is more empowering than a real relationship with God. As John Bunyan has pointed out, he who runs from God in the morning will scarcely find him the rest of the day. Perform God.
Perform listening. More than being a good speaker, be a good listener. Develop the ability, through practice, to truly listen and comprehend the subjects, topics, concerns, and causes of others without judgment or prejudice. Practice giving your full attention to a person. Practice the art of temporarily setting aside your own desires and concerns so that you may experience the speaker's world from within yourself. For until you are willing to enlarge yourself as to include others unconditionally, it shall be difficult for you to truly listen to another. The act of truly listening to someone requires some love or care for that person. It is difficult to truly understand another person without first making room for that person within yourself. True listening requires the total acceptance of the one speaking. True listening is about true sharing. It is a union of interests. God listens and speaks to many kinds of people as well as circumstances and situations. Perform your listening. Don't just hear. Train yourself to listen. Like your oversight, you can direct your hearing. You actually can't hear what you want to hear. You can hear the ignorance and immaturity of others, or you can hear God. That's so true. The decision, freedom, is always yours. You can hear ignorance, but you do not have to listen to it. Direct your ear to hear, and then listen to God's instructions instead of the world's insecurities. Know God's voice. It is difficult to live by faith or in spirit if you cannot truly hear and even speak the voice of your God. Know this, the brain selects certain sounds to hear, and you select out of those sounds what you want to hear. Throughout the day, direct your brain to hear the messages of God. They may come when you least expect it, from unusual and non-traditional places. Practice your spiritual sensitivity and use your intuitive abilities daily. You can begin with prayer, then affirmation, then visualization, then actualization. Through each stage of growth, it is the discipline to listen and comprehend the voice of God that provides the greatest guidance through the obstacles of the streets. Listen for your purpose and listen through your purpose. Those who know their divine purpose can practice listening to that small inner background voice inside of them. It usually tells them what to do as well as what not to do. But most people ignore their still small voice, only to regret making a decision contrary to the will of that still small voice. In sorrow and regret, they say, I knew I should have, or I shouldn't, or something told me to. It is this cycle that must be reversed. You must eventually develop the ability to hear clearly and obey that inner voice that warns, guides, and teaches. You must learn how to act upon the messages of God. Take some time to listen to silence. God speaks silently and quietly. When a split-second decision must be made in the material world, or when you get the feeling to choose left or right, yes or no, him or her, or them or me, a helpful technique to hearing and obeying your inner voice has traditionally been to act upon your first impression. For those who live in spiritual lives, usually it is the wiser self that advises us first. Then the younger self doubts the advice of the wiser self in the decision-making process. Even if your first impression or feeling proves to be an immediate failure, always remember that what appears to be a failure in the present isn't always a failure in the future. Trust in God. Just because you cannot immediately see the success of your decision does not mean that your decision has led you to failure. Trust in God. Those who truly live in spirit and take their gospel seriously are guided and protected even when they cannot see it or do not even know it. Trust God. All throughout life you will be guided toward the fulfillment of your divine purpose. Even when you appear to be lost, you are moving toward your divine purpose. Even when you believe that you are late, you shall escape danger and arrive right on time. Even when you lose, you shall win. Trust God. Even when adversity arises, fear not. Indeed, you are moving toward your divine purpose. When things are taken from you or damaged, or it appears that you cannot get the things that you want, do not be discouraged. It is for your own protection and development. The key to understanding life and flowing with life is in the knowing of your life purpose, and in the knowing that it is your life purpose that God is actually fulfilling, and that you are ultimately achieving your vision of yourself. Listen to your purpose. Feel and follow the direction of your purpose. Those who do not yet know their life purpose should ask their God to reveal it to them. Search your heart and listen. God has already given you purpose. Look around your environment and into what you do best. Listen for those activities that truly make you the happiest. You are already being called to your purpose right now. Do not be discouraged. Release all doubt, listen, and be guided. Perform listening.
Perform study. Study the progression of your own life experiences. Write them down. Study your life and practice repeating the actions of your own success. Study God's ways, study God's voice, study God's law, and most of all, study God's love and selfless care. Familiarize yourself through study with the way of Great Spirit. Every week, investigate on a material level a new idea that you are unfamiliar with or only partially familiar with. Design your style conversation through study. Seek out new spiritual, philosophical, and political books, seminars, cassettes, compact discs, videos, and other information that specifically builds your spiritual and political knowledge. An infinite, all-knowing, all-seeing, omnipresent God does not speak one language or through one religion or political party. God is infinitely limitless and speaks through a variety of sources. Therefore, hip-hop is are encouraged to explore and respect all spiritual materials, thoughts, people, and places. Such a study expands the spiritual experience of God, hip hop, and builds character. Perfect yourself. For the more you perfect yourself, the more perfect you shall become. You cannot expect spiritual results in the physical world if you are spiritually unstudied. For if you are truly serious about enhancing your spiritual reality and you truly value the presence of God in your life, then you must take your spiritual study time seriously. Don't just study this gospel, study all gospel. Know this, the true hip-hopper lives this gospel and study all others. Watch television shows that inform as well as entertain. Do not waste your time criticizing the use of television, computers, motion pictures, print media, the internet, and radio. Simply choose very carefully the programs you expose yourself and your family to. Whatever the programs seek to create a lesson out of it. Extract the hidden meaning behind all that you are exposed to. Create meaning even when there appears to be none. Know this. To the pure in heart, all things are pure. But to the trouble, all things are troubling. See only God and experience only peace. Look for the lesson even if one does not appear to exist. Expand your comprehension. Do not just study knowledge. Create knowledge out of experiences of your own life. Add to the things that you already know. Do not just study to know. Bring your knowing to your study. Study what you need to know. All true hip-hoppers should know something of world history, commerce and trade, philosophy, politics, art, music, medicine, religion, geology, science, mathematics, psychology, public speaking, cooking, cleaning, partnering in this gospel of hip-hop. Parenting. The true hip-hopper is familiar with and knows how to use a variety of holy books, standard dictionaries, the solar and lunar calendar of this country's constitution, and interstate highway and road maps of his country. This knowledge is very helpful in empowering to the free traveling entrepreneurial hip-hopper. Visit and use your public library if you are privileged to be near one. Be prepared to copy information and take notes at all times. Perform your studies. Seek, memorize, and create new knowledge. Study is about the building and knowing of oneself. It is not about the building of state intuitions and knowing of others and their achievements. Study is about, as Ernest Thompson Seton once said, manhood, not scholarship, is the first aim of education. Perform your study.
Y'all want to stop? You want to keep going? Well, I mean, damn. He was dropping a lot. We done went through what? How many performances? Yeah, we done went through 3 performances. Nobody picked up nothing. Nobody got anything they want to discuss. Cause he was dropping it, man. I'm like,
he was.
Cause I got some stuff highlighted, but y'all know I run my mouth, so y'all better go. You better jump in where you get. You better. Let me get you one. You got your book, Trina? Hold on. Let me see yours real quick. The whole thing. I don't remember what it was. Go ahead, y'all. Y'all want to let's take a commercial break. Y'all kind of stunned. Let me put on. We going to a commercial break. We kind of stunned for a second here, but we're going to get the conversation popping in a second.
Mr. Deity.
So anybody had anything they wanted to speak on real quick before we continue? Because there was a lot of stuff dropped.
It was. I'm gonna build on the. There's no point in. You had it highlighted right there. No point in claiming God if you don't have any true power in this world.
Word. He was talking about, let me find that. You guys work in the world, about how some people, because a lot of us don't run into this in life where people claim all this, God has done this, God has done that, and all this stuff in the past, but you don't see that activity in their life. And it's kind of like, why should I even deal with what you're dealing with when it's obviously not working for you? You know what I'm saying? So what he's saying is that a true hip-hopper, somebody that is hip-hop, somebody that claims to have this energy should be able to manifest certain things in life. You ought to be able to bring that power to bear in life. You know what I'm saying? So is that what you was talking about?
Yeah.
Anybody else? Anything else?
I like the part when he was talking about don't force God on anyone, because I just watched a movie called God's Not Dead, and it was an atheist and it was a student, so they had to argue back and forth. But at the end, the student did win and said God is alive, but still, there's a lot of people out there that do not believe in God because they haven't either thought about him or it's not in his presence. It's like some people is born in God and some people isn't. So I like that part.
He speak on that in there. He said some people are just born to do this. Some people are just born for it. Everybody don't have that in them, man. It's like a waste of time trying to convert somebody. You know what I'm saying?
And that really sincerely, you don't have to convert anybody. Seriously, I do think that you express that God-given power, that ability, without putting it a religion or anything on it. It like he's saying, do it makes you happy. A lot of times that is your greatest power. So I think that's what's most important, not get caught up on religion.
I'll hear this back to Mansour's point. Performing God is also about bringing spiritual reality into physical reality when needed. It makes no sense to claim a relationship with God and they have no real power on earth and no real power in the world. One I want to hit on. Failure in the present is always failure in the future. Anybody got any personal experiences they want to share on that one? Because that one, we should be able to have, has anybody ever done something that blew up? It totally looked like it was total disaster, but from that very mistake, from that very thing that failed, you was able to reap success.
When I was signing up for Columbus State, everything kept happening. I was working and I was trying to sign up for school, but every time they set an appointment for me to come in and schedule my classes, it never worked. I always had something else to do. And then, so I didn't get to schedule my classes, but then I learned about this nursing school that I'm going to. And I like this school better. It's less class sizes, everything. So I think that was a blessing in disguise.
I found Simba like that. I was sleeping in the basement and fell on Simba. You know what I'm saying? So, all throughout our lives, we could see that. Because a lot of times, and one of the things is I was on my the radio show, and something hit me. A lot of times, we're being programmed to receive immediate feedback from everything we do. We want immediate results from everything we do. You know what I'm saying? That's why we got to get back to nature, because in nature you start seeing that everything has a process and it takes time. And we become disconnected from that because we able to go to the store and get tomatoes in the middle of the goddamn winter. When that's not really natural. That's not how it really supposed to be. So we think that everything is supposed to work like that. When in fact we have to be able to plug into processes and be able to wait for the outcome. I think that's a very, very powerful piece. Anything else before we keep on moving?
Perform listening, sometimes when people is arguing at you or something, you just straight go off. You don't care what last word they're gonna say. You just go off with them, and then it's not good because it's just fighting fire with fire. Just gonna make a bigger one. And sometimes we do not listen to that inner God. Like, we have something tell us, and then we like, man, that did tell me, but I ain't do it now. Look at me now. So I think we got to perform listening more.
I think to perform discipline, that sat with me, especially dealing with health, and trying to shake them urges, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I'm not going to eat this pizza right now. End up buying it anyway, But we don't think about, I think when it comes to trying to change any way you are, we look at it, or at least I know my experience, putting that affirmation in the air, is not enough. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes especially when you starting, I think that can be enough because, like, well, I did something, but to actually perform them disciplines, on a daily basis, that's where them battles is fought in the trenches, right at them urges, that's when you got to come back to that affirmation,
The whole piece about the affirmation. Because, like, regardless of whether you use the one that he gave or you create your own, I seriously believe in the power of affirmation. I could dig what he's saying about that because it's good to have a mantra, magic words to say. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, one of the things that get me through a lot of times is I run into some hard times, and I. When I get my most frustrated, I always say to myself, one day I'm gonna laugh about this shit. You know what I'm saying? And it has always been true. But in that moment, that was some excruciating ass pain. You know what I'm saying? But because I was able to project, because I don't know if anybody noticed, he talked about the future self. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He said the future self. It's like your future self is depending on you. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like sometimes you got to pull yourself out of what you're going through now and realize that you are a much older being than you are as far as years. And you know what I'm saying? You're a much older being, and your future is depending on what you do right now. You know what I'm saying? So I always say I'm going to laugh about this shit one day. And those words have pulled me through some devastating stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, I remember when I got shot. That was one of the things I was like, damn, I hope I laugh about this one day. You know what I'm saying? But then, after a while, it's like, I'm going to laugh about this. And it's funny as hell. It wasn't in. It wasn't in, but it's true. Anybody else?
Okay. Page 153, number 9. You must eventually develop the ability to hear clearly and obey that inner voice that warns, guides, and teaches. For me, a lot lately, my car broke down, so like I'm used to listening to a lot of music, and I'm driving my grandparents' car right now, so I ain't got no music in there, but I actually get to listen to myself for once. You know what I mean? Like, actually getting to hear the problems I'm going through, the ugly shit that I think about, you know what I mean? Like, just things that, that I didn't get to listen to myself because I was bombarded with a lot of things that's in my head from other people, you know what I mean, through programming on television, stuff like that, even through the internet, you know what I mean? So I actually get to listen to myself for once in my life. You know what I mean? And it's scary at one time. It was scary to a point where I cried because I was like, damn, man, I get to actually hear myself and my faults. You know what I mean? And then, what page? And then 154, 15, verse 15. Even when you appear to be lost, you are moving towards a divine purpose.
Come on.
And a lot of times I'm like, damn, why in the hell am I doing this shit for?
Right.
Word.
A lot of times I'm like,
That's
man, why am I
yes.
why am I doing this? You know what I mean? Like, what is the purpose of even doing this? You know what I mean? Like, even just like you talk to somebody like, damn man, they don't know the goddamn thing. Why am I doing this? Why am I even helping this person out? Why am I helping people? You know what I mean? I forgot who told. I forgot who told me this, but it might be even Trina, man. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, even though you feel like, you know, it's not going anywhere, eventually down the road, you're gonna find your purpose. You know what I mean? And right now, I feel like I'm lost. You know what I mean? But I feel like I'm going towards my purpose. You know what I mean? Even with my blog, you know what I mean? It might not be where it's at right now, but you know, eventually, I feel like, you know what I mean, it's going to lead to something, you know, so.
You got to. You know what I'm saying?
Self-determination.
I mean, think about this. In the old days, I mean, we have a lot of luxury, man. In the old days, motherfuckers used to have to get from one side of the country to the other. You know what I'm saying? Didn't have accurate maps. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just think about this. Right. You know, I heard that my long lost brother is in California, and I'm gonna walk to California. And you know, do you know a majority of that time them people was lost? I mean, that's what traveling is all about. And it gives us time to do what you said, because it takes a lot of bravery to sit down and really focus on some of the shit that's going through our heads. Just be quiet for a minute. That's why it's hard for people to meditate. That's one of the hardest part about Amblasia. I had an elder that I ran into at the Sundance. He told me it's called the Lonely Mile. And what they used to do is, he used to race cars and do those 500-mile races, and that shit look easy. But he said, listen, son, I used to strap myself in them cars, and we would start. And he said, by mile 150, I'm sitting in the car wondering, why in the fuck am I going around in a circle over and over again? And he say, and those miles between 150 and 495 is like the lonely miles, because it's just you, and that car. And all of us have been in that place where it's that lonely mile. You'd be like, why the fuck am I doing this? I mean, I think that every day. Some of the people I'll be dealing with, I'll be like, yo, what the fuck am I? That breath, y'all know that breath? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But the piece is, you know you're moving towards your, long as you know it, that you're moving towards your divine purpose. And I think that's where the power is. You got to have that faith, not in the world, but in you. You know what I'm saying? Because you might not think that the blog is not alive, but the blog is good. You know what I'm saying? You know, so I'm like, and the blog is definitely a step. It's a step, and we got these steps, and that blog, whatever might happen with that is going to catapult you into something else, and all the other stuff that we're doing is going to catapult each one of us into the exact place at the exact time for us to be able to do it. Back to Simba. The only reason I was able to go to Simba at the time when it was actually introduced to me was because I was broke and I was homeless. Purely. That was the only reason. Other than that, if I'd have been doing what I was doing or what I thought I was supposed to be doing, I would have never found Simba. I can't give up 2 weeks. I can't give up 2 weeks for no pay. You know what I'm saying? But no, it was just me. I was already late on child support. You know what I'm saying? I ain't had no vehicle. I was sleeping in my friend's basement. So hell, you gonna get a bed? You know what I'm saying? What? Right. For 2 weeks? Right. And do what I do? Cool, let's go. You know what I'm saying? But a lot, so we moving on purpose. And in the affirmation he talks about give yourself permission. And that was the title of one of my shows. That stuck with me, because a lot of us, we don't give ourselves permission to do anything. We want to wait for other people to validate everything that we do. Nothing we doing is successful until somebody else gives us the nod. You know what I'm saying? When, like you said, most of the people we dealing with don't know what the fuck they doing either. You know, so. Anything else?
Like the part talking about don't just know that you know it, expand it, like expand on it. It's like creating your own apps or creating your own art or whatever you're going to do. Just add to what is already there and put your own foot in it instead of just sitting back and saying, oh, that's great, add it and be more better than what it was. I like that part.
That reminds me of when we started studying, and I remember some people would come by and be like, you got all these books, you got all this, you got all that, and I'm like, but with that comes responsibility. You just don't read it for you. You know, you got to put it out, you got to put it back out, and that's the dope part of it. You might not know it at first, and I do believe books choose you too.
Yes.
And that's the, like, if only you knew. Like, it's probably a good thing we don't know at first.
Add to it, man. I mean, and one of the issues I have with some folks is that they just sit on information. Just study for study's sake. You know, it's like, I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm just reading this book. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to this lecture. What are you doing with it? You know what I'm saying? There's a certain responsibility that comes with, and at some point in time, we got to expand on what's out there. We can't do what Marcus Garvey did. We got to do beyond what Marcus Garvey did. You know what I'm saying?
Do what we supposed to do.
We got to do what we supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? We got to build on it. So, hey, that's hip-hop. That's hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? Every generation gets doper. Like, I'll be listening to his beats. I'll be like, God damn. I shared your beats with one of my brothers. That nigga was like, how old is this nigga? This some old shit. How old is he? I said, what is he? I said, about 20. I thought I said about 25. But I said, damn, you know, shit, dude, this is our shit. Now you guys ask like, when we get into the studio, bro. hey, slow down. But I mean, that's, you know, that's part of it. So anything else before we jump back into the performances? Because he dropped, it was dropping. And what's crazy is a lot of this stuff I've been doing. It's like, you know, I'm like, damn. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just like somebody took the time to put the shit down, because hip hop has developed in my life to where it's like a lot of this stuff I'm saying, like he was describing certain things, like I'm like, damn, I should have wrote this shit. I should have wrote this shit. I'm mad. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't have the heart to put gospel on something to put it out, because you know that takes a lot of balls, right? You know that takes because when he put this out, you know the arrows was coming straight for him, because he talking about gospel hip-hop. He trying to turn hip-hop into a religion. And the piece is, no, it's not about turning hip-hop into a religion. It's about recognizing hip-hop for what it is already, because hip-hop has changed the world. And nobody really wants to deal with that fact. Nobody, you know what I'm saying? A lot of us want to deny it's just music, and people want to categorize it, but those people who have actually been touched, you know what I'm saying? This shit saved my life. Period. It saved my life. It got me into college. You know what I'm saying? It got me a scholarship just because I was able to express the shit that he talking about right here.
It changed the world just as much as Buddhism did when it came on the scene, just as much as Islam when it came on the scene. It's got it's on the tongues. It's just as many people as them surahs is or whatever.
Right.
You know.
Right. You know, so y'all want to continue with the fourth one? Or?
Yeah. We better. Discipline.
I'm kind of trying to dodge the discipline.
Yeah, you can. It's part of the journey.
All right, so who want to start reading?
Perform discipline. Every day we are faced with opportunities to perform discipline, self-control. The attuned hip-hop will uses moments of temptation to practice restraint, moments of fear to practice faith, and moments of anger and anxiety to practice patience and inner calmness. There are divine performances. In all actions, use moderation. Temptation, fear, anger, etc. can be used as tests that strengthen your mind and body. Seek balance. Do not overindulge, for this act leads to suffering. Control yourself. Self-control is your only friend, while temptation is your only enemy. Never forget this. A hip-hop spiritual strength is not measured by what can be resisted in flesh. It is measured by that which is resisted in the mind. In order to change or modify your behavior, you must first change or modify the picture you hold of yourself in your mind. What is your perception of yourself? What do you mean to you? How valuable are you to you? How serious do you take yourself? On the inside, what do you look like to you? Do you say often, ain't nobody perfect? Is this how you see yourself imperfect? Then you shall never be even close to perfect. Your affirmation is final. The world shall have its way with you. Temptations of all sorts action unperfected people constantly. Such people actually weaken themselves by affirming and believing that they are imperfect. It's like saying the world, come and get me. Such an affirmation leads nowhere. However, if you even reach for perfection in your own imperfect life, which is perfectly imperfect, such an action will indeed protect you from the world and its temptations. For a material world, it is not perfection that is needed to protect you from temptation. It is actual desire for perfection that is an indestructible shield and sword against the world and its agents of temptation. Never give up. Keep trying, seek truth.
Can we stop?
Yeah.
Woo. Woo.
I know a lot of people has been saying ain't nobody perfect for a while.
And I can't stand that because it gives us an excuse not to be perfect, not to at least try to be your highest self. It's such a violation. I can't stand that. It's the biggest excuse that we as a people use on the next level.
But it ain't just us.
I'm talking about us. I'm talking about us.
Talk about yourself.
I'm just saying. But we use that all the time. And then it's, ain't nobody. It's the biggest excuse. Right. Why not strive for perfection? Why not? Why not try? We were just talking about that today, weren't we?
I don't know.
Pseudo-perfection.
Oh, and it's such a beautiful thing when you're just striving for it. It's beautiful.
And he stresses that on here too, right? Ain't nobody perfect. Boom, boom. Temptation. Somewhere in here, he talks about that. How striving perfection is it? And but what hit me was he called that ain't nobody perfect thing an affirmation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Just positive.
How many different mantras? Because when you look at affirmations and mantras, or magic words or words of power, we enact in our life that limit us. Just little sayings. You know what I'm saying? Like ain't nobody perfect. Because I done seen that one used in the whole man. I mean, if you ever been involved in some church mess, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? One of the first things that pops out is ain't nobody perfect. That don't make it right that you try to fuck my wife. You know what I'm saying? I mean really, because we see people using these in crazy situations and these affirmations, and somehow they have developed a life of their own where it's almost like we have to respond.
That's the affirmation.
That's right. That's the life. You know, that's the life. That's the idea of violence.
That's the high.
You know what I'm saying? That's the who.
That's the from the higher self.
So
the God self. That's crazy. Sorry, I want to.
Like when he said, if you reach for perfection, you're gonna be protected from the world and its temptation. So that's why probably a lot of people is out here making it because they already reaching for perfection. And the ones that fall are probably the ones that kept saying, "Ain't nobody perfect."
Reaching for it establishes that you're not afraid of the success that you want in the first place.
I listened to a lady in a conference. I've been having a whole bunch of them lately. Tell us, I know you guys strive for perfection, but nobody's perfect. And of course, the response was like, why not? But she was using it in another, just an inspector who comes in and finds something out. Nobody's perfect, so it's okay if they come in and find this, that, and the third. Like, nah, it's not. And why would you even tell people that? So you using it in a different. I don't even think she was conscious of it, but certainly.
But who she was working for?
Oh, she was working for people who would be conscious of it.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because really, those people who have basically designed the program that we are in, that the program is to make sure that we can't manifest into who we really are.
Who we need to be.
You know what I'm saying? So we got these little mental viruses that's just flowing around here like that. Why strive for perfection? I heard this. Well, this was one of the books when I dropped out of college once. I read this book for a class. I did so many classes that made me just want to quit school because the question that kept coming back was, why the fuck am I here? I mean, we would actually have discussions where that would be the end of the discussion of the class. The fuck am I in college for? I don't know, sir. Why are you in college? I mean, you got a whole classroom of motherfuckers that have come to the conclusion that this is just us chasing our tails. And the book that this dude assigned for us was a book called Journey to Ixtlan, about this dude who was a Yaqui sorcerer. This white boy goes to the desert to find out about himself, and he runs into this dude who's a Yaqui warrior. And he teaches him all this shit, right? And this dude wrote about maybe 10 to 15 books, right? About this dude named Don Juan. But what came out later on, and this is off the story that I'm telling, that he just made this, according to what they have found, he just made this shit up. But he had followers who just got into this book, but the shit was good. So I'm reading Journey to Ixtlan, and one of the things Don Juan taught this motherfucker when he was, first he taught him how to run in the dark, because he had to learn how to run in the dark. So I go out in the dark, I try the shit worked. I'm gonna tell you, this shit works. So, but anyway, Don Juan told him, he said, failure is succeeding to stay on the path.
Failure is succeeding to stay on the path.
When you fail, you succeed to stay on the path. Because it's like, boom, if you're doing something and you fail and you stop, it's over. But if you're failing, but you're moving towards what the fuck you're going for, you know what I'm saying? You have succeeded to stay on the path. So it's like, it's ways you can look at things to change what the outcome is for you mentally. Because most of us give up not because we're physically tired, not because we're physically beat, but because most of the time we're emotionally beat. We allow people to beat us mentally and emotionally. You know what I'm saying? So I just thought.
I think another thing with that statement too is it's saying you're not of the nature of God. If you're saying that nobody's perfect, nobody's of the nature of God, so that's not gonna work. You know.
Y'all, I mean, you done?
Oh,
you stopped us. You.
Yeah, I just had to speak on that. Yeah.
Feel free when we hit something. Stop. Because we ain't gonna be able to finish this. This is a long chapter, so we got maybe 5 more pages to go. Oh, he said, my fault.
It's about 9 for us.
Oh, well, let's move on.
The truth is that temptation is always temporary. All temptations are spiritual tests. Therefore, when you are tempted, it is very important to be still and not say or do anything. Indeed, the temptation shall pass. Try to remember that temptation is always temporary. But if you give into it all the time, its unpleasant after effects can last a long time, even a lifetime. In addition, resisting temptation strengthens one's faith. It is like lifting spiritual weights or exercising. Resisting temptation strengthens one's spiritual vitality. However, the question here is, why should I resist temptation? Answer, because satisfying the call of temptation as opposed to the call of purpose leads to guilt, which can weaken your faith. Therefore, we must take advantage of temptation. We cannot allow temptation to take advantage of us. When you know in your heart that you live righteously and your mind is focused only upon the fulfillment of your divine purpose, you expect the favor of God. And it is this expectancy that is at the center of one's faith and courage. But when you know in your heart that you are guilty of actions that you perceived as spiritually weak, evil, or immoral, you do not expect the favor of God. You hide from the presence of God. And it is this expectancy, expecting not to receive the favor of God, that is at the center of your doubts and fears. It is your own guilt that diminishes your faith and thus your ability to achieve your divine purpose. Ultimately, we judge and then weaken ourselves through guilt because our submission to temptation and other weaknesses. Self-control and virtuous living strengthens your faith in God's favor upon you, which in turn enhances your ability to achieve your purpose and even perform miracles in your life and even in the lives of others. Self-control makes you certain of your trustworthiness before God. Yes, that's true. And it is this trustworthiness that empowers your faith to achieve your divine purpose and perform miracles. Spiritual strength is also measured by one's patience and endurance. For when you know in your heart that you live a righteous life and that God's favor is upon you, those things that you do not have, those people that you do not see, and those places that you do not go are all for your own good. For one of the keys of lasting discipline is when one becomes serious about actually acknowledging the real presence of God. For when you know that God is with you, watching you, listening to you, etc., you need not try to be disciplined. You are automatically disciplined by the presence of God in your midst. Undisciplined people can be said to simply not believe in the presence of God or their own spiritual abilities. They ignore their God and their own access to their own God force. Truth is always with them, but they ignore it. Love is always with them. Peace, wealth, knowledge, healing, etc. are always available to us, but we simply ignore them because we really don't believe we deserve these gifts. We know to ourselves that we are imperfect because of the temptations that we have fallen to, and with such knowledge we judge and limit ourselves. Discipline over the desires of the body and mind come when you truly acknowledge the existence and presence of God right next to you. Know this: a true awareness of God causes discipline to automatically happen to you. One does not have to be actually disciplined to keep one's hand off a hot stove. It is not that you need to restrain yourself from touching the hot stove. It is more the fact that you do not want to burn your hand. In this example, discipline is not only a matter of awareness, it is also a matter of taking care of yourself. It is a matter of self-respect. Again, seek the truth of God's actual presence, and discipline is sure to follow. For the attuned hip-hop discipline has more to do with realizing truth and having respect for oneself than the practice of restraint. The whole divine performance is a disciplinary training exercise designed to produce hip-hop character and behavior that prepares one for leadership, victory over the obstacles of the streets. Therefore, we must remember to use moments of anxiety to perform. Did we read this? So we did. Therefore, we must remember to use moments of anxiety to perform patience and calm. Use moments of depression to perform joy. Commit to yourself. Bring order to yourself by recognizing and truly respecting only the existence of value of God in your life. Make the conscious decision to value your God. Stop burning your hands upon the hot stoves of the world's temptations. This is a spiritual strength. This is a divine purpose. Start your discipline practice by small by resisting your favorite cake as an example. Try not to overeat. Speak less. Turn off or unplug the television. Cease listening to the radio. Go on to resist argument and gossip. Begin repeating an affirmation or prayer regularly. You might want to attend places of prayer. Practice fasting from junk foods, recreational drugs, intoxicating drinks, lustful desires, unproductive conversations, and even the careless spending of money. In these examples, the achievement of discipline is a matter of spiritual self-respect, which leads to physical self-control. Now may be the time you truly care for yourself and most all value yourself. These leads to discipline. The teacher practices withdrawing his senses from the happenings of the material world. With this performance, the teacher escapes the inconstant and sometimes dangerous events of the world. But the teacher is mindful not to become too distant from those whom he is teaching. Balance is the key. If you have proven your discipline and self-governance, you can indulge in worldly temptations at times. The practice of discipline is not to obtain from the happenings of the physical world. It is to be strong enough to stop and start such activities at will. The teacher is simply free from addiction. In fact, when it is pleasurable to abstain from pleasure, one can be called teacher. When one looks forward to moments of self-restraint, one can be called teacher. The teacher is unattached and mentally independent. The teacher is not lured nor tempted toward pleasure. The teacher freely and willingly chooses pleasure. The world and its temptations do not move the teacher. As Henry Frederick Amiel had pointed out, the man who has no refuge in himself, who lives, so to speak, in his front rooms and the outer whirlwind of things and opinions, is not properly a personality at all. He floats with the current. He does not guide himself according to higher principle. Who has no ideal, no convictions, such a man is a mere article of the world's furniture, a thing moved instead of a living and moving being, an echo, not a voice. The man who has no inner life is a slave of his surroundings. As a barometer is the obedient servant of the air at rest, and the weather clock the humble servant of the air in motion. Perform discipline. That's good.
We're going to stop on that one. But any comments? Go ahead.
Lately, I've been doing everything he talking about. Like some days, like today, I haven't ate yet, so I realized some days I'd fast without even knowing. And I have stopped smoking for 3 weeks now. I haven't did a lot of things I desired, so I just realized a lot of things that he's been saying I've been doing, and somehow I have been praying to God more, and I've been listening to his voices more and being more disciplined.
One thing I want to hit on is 159:12. One of the keys to lasting discipline is when one becomes serious about actually acknowledging the real presence of God. And when you know that God is with you, watching you, listening to you, etc., you need not try to be disciplined. You are automatically disciplined by the presence of God in your midst. Now, this is one of the reasons why, excuse my language, but I say a majority of niggas are atheists. They just are too scared to say that they don't believe in God, because some of the shit we do, if we actually thought that there was a God watching us, we know that we would not do it. You know what I'm saying? How can you say, you go to church, you say you believe in this being that's everywhere, that sees everything, that has all power, and we do some of the shit that we do. Some of the shit we post on Facebook. As a matter of fact, we don't even care. You know what I'm saying? It's like we have no true conception of all-powerful being in the world or within us. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, and I'm just my observation. I observe true atheism in my community. You know, matter of fact, there are more atheists than the ones that actually come out and say, "Hey, I'm an atheist." You see what I'm saying? Our actions are in our community. If you look at our actions, show atheism. You know what I'm saying? You don't believe? I mean, it's crazy to me. So, anybody else?
I'm gonna drop a verse to get out of here.
All right. You want some music?
Nah, that's cool. Three eyes open in America. I'm far from sanity. Chaotic world. I'm searching for peace, love, and prosperity. Knowledge is the key, but the door is where the wisdom be. Sometimes that's hard to see when I'm drunk off my own misery. I elevate till my crown chakra shine electricity. Exposure to my dosha got me closer. Feel my energy. Divine is how I'm meant to be. Written in my history. Presently chasing victory. Afrofuturistically. Truth heavy to carry. If you're strong, come and lift with me. Anchor around my neck, cause the Most High lives in me. Living check to check, build stress and insecurity. Live your dreams or build somebody else's in that's killing me. I rep the RBG, so I take the music seriously. Called the CDC, they said I'm still sick lyrically. Need a moment of peace, cause I'm trying to grow spiritually. Economic slave on the edge, don't interfere with me.
Peace, Hotep. It's Mansour Hotep, aka Mr. Deity. Mr. Deity, does it sound good? I think it sounds great. Right now, you listening to Giami Journey Radio.
So, anybody else before we go out? Last words, last performance. That's the say.
I do want to say something about the discipline where we at.
Discipline makes life easier. Organized.
Well, not so much about maybe discipline as that this is just so on point. Because I've been getting angry as hell lately. And it's very...
All right, cool. All right, peace out. Peace, we out. That was Rashawn Roland Kirk. He's joined us for our study group session. We was doing the third overstanding from the gospel of hip hop. This is with our 10. Joined by the family. This is Gianni Johnny Radio. Heart of a Simple Production. Where we strive to blow up those old paradigms. Peace.
No, you're good. Thank you. Sorry.